The sun's rays heat up your already leather-hardened skin. As you walk along your men, their uniforms caked with the fine sand dust of this godforsaken place. Why the hell are we still fighting in North Africa, you wonder? The Allies have landed off the coast of Algeria, and British forces have steadily advanced for over a year now to the south. You instinctively shudder as one of your AA gunners opened fire. He is engaging a small dot on the horizon, so small you are even surprised he saw it. Then suddenly, a loud roar followed by a thunderous boom erupts behind you. The RAF is conducting their daily afternoon attack. You pray to yourself, hoping you survive, to make it back to Italy in one piece. Hello, my enlightened scholars, it's your professor, Enlightened Enlisted, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Tunisia Campaign. We have extraordinarily little information from the developers about this campaign, but we can make some inferences based off what we are seeing on other campaigns and weapons we have seen thus far. Tunisia, like Normandy, is a multinational affair with Americans, British, Italians, Germans, French, and even other nations all taking place in what Winston Churchill would later dub the fight to secure the Mediterranean. But I would not be getting my hopes up to be fighting under Rommel to start. Having the Germans for the fourth time would leave many gamers bored by the lack of variety, in my opinion. I mean, you can only look forward to unlocking the MP40 so often, right? North Africa is the perfect setting, however, to bring in the Italians, as Tunisia was a part of the Italian holdings and saw major Italian commitment to its defense. North Africa is also a perfect place to bring in the British, as the Field Marshal Bernard Montgomery earned his reputation as Britain's savior in the sun-kissed sand. Now, before we go any further, I want to stress that I am not Italian, so I will butcher a lot of these pronunciations. I'm sorry to the mafia families of New York. Please do not kill me.
Pronuncio correttamente?
Sì, corretto.
Gorlomi? Per cortesia, me lo ripeti un...
Now, I truly believe that Gaijin has been setting the stage to bring in the Italians and the British with the weapons that you're seeing in other campaigns, such as the Lee Enfield, the Bruen, and the Beretta 1918, all which have British or Italian origins. By the way, if you like learning about firearms used in Enlisted and their historical origin, check out our Tales of the Gun series. It will not only help you in your gameplay, but you will also be able to answer a lot of obscure trivia questions at the pub. Infantry weapons for the Italians are going to be remarkably interesting, as some of the unlocks we may see could be firearms like the TZ-45, an Italian submachine gun, the Fiat 1914, a machine gun that looks very similar to the .30 caliber machine gun the Americans are using in the Pacific theater of the war. Now, if you do choose the Flame Troopers, you can expect them to be carrying the Model 35, which, depending on some of the maps, I find will be quite useful. To take on the British Commonwealth armor, the AT rifle most likely will be the WZ-35 due to it being the easiest to design for programmers, in my opinion. No one uses the mortars right now in game, but you can expect, if you do use it, to use the Model 35, which is a 81mm mortar to round out the Italian loadouts. Now, all the weapons that I just mentioned before are weapons that we could see in the game. We already have quite a few Italian weapons making their appearance in-game already. Armor-wise, this is a tough call, as the balance between Italian armor and British tanks is so very lopsided here historically. However, I do hope they go with giving the Italians Italian tanks over just giving them German armor. That wouldn't necessarily be wrong historically, but I'm getting very tired of seeing Panzer IIIs at this point. For the light tank, the best choice I would say for the Italians is going to be that L530, which is an upgraded version of that L521. Now, if you're not familiar with the L521, it is actually one of Italy's first tanks and is probably one of the most recognized Italian vehicles in World War II. I picked the 30 over the 21 because I don't think they're going to be able to counter British armor without having a main gun over that machine gun turret.
Oh, no!
For the medium tanks, the only choice is going to have to be that M1340, as this was the primary tank the Italians used in World War II, and it was directly inspired by the British Vickers class as well. For the Italian heavy armor, they're going to go with the P26/40, which is not going to be historically accurate at all, as it was only used by the Germans and never saw action in North Africa, but that is going to be the only choice for a heavy tank if it's going to be purely Italian armor. This is all very well and good, but what about our tea-drinking Commonwealth friends? Well, as for the infantry weapons, I don't think we're going to see so much variety as we've already seen a lot of it in-game. The Sten submachine gun is probably going to be complemented later on by the Thompson submachine gun unlock, with a Vickers or a Lewis machine gun breaking up that second gunner class unlock as well. For the AT rifles, I don't see them going anywhere else besides with that Piat, but I really do hope they look at the boys AT rifle, aka the elephant gun instead, because it has such a unique experience for the individual. Now, one weapon I need them to add is the Delisle carbine to the rotation of assault class troopers, as it would be such an addition to this lineup. This rifle had an integrated suppressor with subsonic rounds. If you wanted to get your Captain Price on, this is the rifle to do it. Now, flame troops will be using the MK2 Lifebuoy flamethrower to butter the Axis biscuit. The British Army is going to be a unique and refreshing addition to this game. The Matilda II is a sure bet, as it has become an icon of British defense of Africa. It is also an infantry support tank, which is the basis of Enlisted gameplay. The Crusader Mark III would round out the medium class armor, and I would bet it's going to be the best tank in the campaign. For the heavy tank tier, the Churchill will be the staple of British authority, which concerns me as there is no way in hell an Italian P-26/40 can take on a Churchill and survive without serious help from the developers. His Majesty's Royal Air Force should be using Hurricanes, but Spitfires are a possibility to make their debut in this campaign as well. For the attacker fighter bombers, we will be seeing the Belham or the Bristol. Both are great aircrafts and keeping with the model we have seen from other campaigns. Ultimately, I see the air war being more important in this campaign than ever before, because it is a desert, so we're not going to have a lot of tree cover. You're going to have a lot of strafing and bombing runs, so I'm looking forward to see more dogfights happen in-game. Something that I hope they add to this campaign is going to be the infantry attack vehicle. We are currently seeing the Willy Jeep and the Kubelwagens added in other campaigns, but I would like to see something fast that could give a bloody nose to the infantry in the open. I mean, this is a desert war, right? My picks to fill this are going to be the Brin Carrier and the Fiat 611. I would believe these additions would add some kind of cooperation between infantry and tanks, more along what the experience we want to see in other campaigns as well. Map-wise, it's going to be quite hard for the developers to give you a dramatic feeling to this campaign, as the desert is generally known for its boring aesthetics. But they do have some actual battles to look forward to as far as inspiration goes, and one of those being the battle for the Matilda Line, which saw extensive fighting on hilly rockfield terrain, bridgehead defenses, and house-to-house fighting in the town of El Ham. I entrust the team that worked on the Berlin campaign to head up this development of these maps, because if you haven't seen my review of the Berlin campaign, please go check out that video next. Ultimately, they're going to need to expand all the campaigns in-game because the Tunisia Campaign, without the Americans and the Germans, will isolate so many very important battles and events, like the Battle of the Kasserine Pass or Operation Torch, leaving us with a fractional experience of the story of this erotic affair. How I believe you accomplish this is an idea that I saw posted on Reddit by Europa Tales BTR. Link to that post in the description below. Go check that out. His idea was to introduce the Red Orchestra style campaign game mode. Now, if you're not familiar with that, that is where there is a very large map that you go through a series of battles, and each battle affects the next one. I think this will allow the player an experience of fighting a whole campaign with many different nations, not just being limited to 2, and having battles that were actually fought in the war being historically accurate. Using Tunisia as the testing ground for this new mode would be perfect, as you would be limited to about 4 factions: the British, the Americans, Germans, Italians, and sorry Frenchie, we're going to cut you out. I do understand that you were actually in this campaign. The maps would go from the landings on Operation Torch, giving the Americans even more D-Day style cancer, to a southern thrust of German panzer armies against the Tommy defenders in the south. The player would be immersed into the campaign with the gravity of each battle, resulting in different outcomes, affecting his campaign experience. I have very, very high hopes for Tunisia. I think it's going to be a great experience for the player base and adding a new light to World War II style shooters. we know the developers aren't going to just stop with these 4 campaigns. So what I'm hoping after that is an early war Germany, either based in Poland or the Low Countries. Now, I think the Low Countries make more sense to the introduction of France, which would be used in other campaigns as well, as there are already French weapons making appearances in-game. You also have the War Thunder vehicle models already designed for the French faction. So that is as close to a confirmed French faction that we can possibly get to date. So what do you guys think? What will happen in Tunisia, and how long till it's released? Let me know in the comments below. Also, while you're down there, please hit the subscribe and bell notification. It helps fund my drinking habit. If you liked today's video, also give it a thumbs up, letting YouTube know that other people should watch this video. Want to talk history with me? Well, join our Discord or come chat with me in the Twitch. All those links are in the description below. Until next time, scholars, hit those books, hit those bottles. Cheers.